Hello, it's layperson Lisa with a reflection on the readings for the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time. So in today's gospel, we hear about the rich man dressed in purple, which is a sign of royalty. So like a sign of worldly comfort. And then we have Lazarus, who is just willing to eat the scraps that fall on the floor. I would say discomfort. A life of comfort versus a life of discomfort. And God calls us to live a life willing to get out of our comfort zone. Because like Pope Benedict XVI said, we are not made for comfort, but we are made for greatness. And so being uncomfortable means saying yes to what God calls us to do, especially when it's not something that we can do on our own. And the more we say yes to what he asks of us, the more we're willing to get out of our comfort zone, the easier it becomes, because we're receiving these graces that give us, these actual graces that give us the strength, the courage to do what God calls us to do. And so when we continually say yes and don't worry about being comfortable, but are faithful and fearless to be stretched in an area of discomfort, then it becomes easier. And so we just had a women's Curcio weekend, and one of the women on the team was really scared to, she has a fear of public speaking, as many people do. And in the beginning, she asked if it would be okay if she had a minimal speaking part. But some things happened, and we needed her to consider giving a talk. And she said yes. She said yes to being uncomfortable. She said yes to doing what God was calling her to do. And she did a great job. And so often we can struggle with self-doubt, like, oh, I'm not equipped to do this. I can't do this. That's not something that I do. And that's when God is glorified the most. When we trust in him, when we rely on him to do what we can't do, but that what he can do through us. And it's important to not allow discomfort to keep us stagnant, because God is always calling us to grow. I just think of, so we're going on a pilgrimage to northern Italy in April of 2026. And one of the saints that we're going to visit where they are, where their remains are, is St. Ambrose. And St. Ambrose did some a lot of things that I would say are uncomfortable. So he was a great peace, a great man of peace. And so he was a government official, and people really respected him because of his ability to come to a consensus, especially in times of turmoil or disagreement. And the Bishop of Milan died, and they asked Ambrose to be the bishop, but he wasn't even baptized. He had, his mother had raised him in a Christian household, but he just never got baptized. And so at first he wanted to run away because it was uncomfortable. How can I be the bishop if I'm not even baptized a Christian? I'm not equipped for this. I want to run away. And that's the mentality that a lot of us can do. I am not equipped for this. I want to run. I want to hide. I want to get out of here. This is not what I can do. But he said yes. After some consideration, he said yes. And he got baptized, confirmed, received First Eucharist, and he was ordained a bishop all on the same day. And he became a great preacher, a great doctor of the church, and he baptized St. Augustine. St. Augustine heard him. He was wayward, living in the world, a life of worldly comfort, and he started becoming interested in Christianity. And so when he was in Milan, he heard St. Ambrose preach, and St. Ambrose touched his heart. And St. Ambrose's yes led to St. Augustine's yes. And now we have these great writings from these great doctors of the church, all these ripples of what a yes to God can do. So where are you stuck in your comfort zone and not willing to say yes to God, to something that is uncomfortable, but can really glorify Him?